Have you ever wondered why life feels harder the moment you try to live it right? Why the people who lie, cheat, and harm others seem to get ahead, while those who walk gently suffer quietly? It's strange, isn't it? We pray for peace, but receive storms. We ask for blessings, but face betrayal. What if you're not being punished? What if the weight you carry is not a curse, but a calling? What if the pain you're trying to escape is actually the path to awakening? Let me tell you a story. Gabriel was tired of always doing the right thing. He paid every debt, kept every promise, never stepped on anyone to climb, and yet life kept stepping on him. He watched others rise through lies, through charm, through cruelty, and he kept asking himself, why does doing good feel like losing? He prayed, he waited, he stayed patient, but nothing changed. And slowly, anger crept in. His breaking point came one night when his mother, the only person he truly loved, collapsed in his arms. She had been hiding her illness so he wouldn't worry, but she waited too long. By the time they reached the hospital, her pulse had faded. Gabriel froze, not crying, not screaming, just breaking, silently. At the funeral, a friend came up to him and whispered, "She's in a better place." Gabriel smiled, but inside he was screaming. If she deserved better, why didn't life give it to her? For months after, he stopped praying. He cursed karma. He resented every teaching that told him to be kind, to be patient, to accept. What good was goodness, if this was the reward? And then one rainy morning, Gabriel walked aimlessly into a small bookstore. He didn't know why, he didn't plan to, but something pulled him in. There were no customers, only an old man, sitting behind the counter reading a tattered book of Buddhist sutras. The old man looked up. Their eyes met. Without a word, the man closed the book and handed it to Gabriel. The page was marked, the sentence underlined. It read, "Don't seek an easy life. Seek to be strong enough for the one you're given." Gabriel didn't speak, but something inside him shifted. The old man finally said, "You've mistaken hardship for injustice. You think life is punishing you, but maybe it's preparing you." Gabriel clenched his jaw. "And what if I don't want preparation?" he said. The old man chuckled. "Then you'll keep suffering, because wanting ease is the fastest way to invite pain. You cannot bargain with life, child. You can only walk through it or run from it." That night, Gabriel couldn't sleep. He kept hearing the old man's words, and for the first time, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" he whispered, "What is this trying to teach me?" From that day forward, Gabriel changed. He didn't become louder. He became stiller. He didn't stop grieving. He started listening to his grief. He didn't chase comfort. He searched for clarity, and strangely, peace found him. Not in success, not in control, but in surrender. He volunteered at the hospice where his mother had passed. He started writing letters to strangers who were dying alone. And in their silence, he began to understand something. Pain doesn't make you bitter, it makes you real. He didn't stop asking questions, but now he asked better ones. Not, "Why me?" but, "What now?" Not, "When will it get easier?" but, "How can I grow right here?" And slowly, without even realizing, Gabriel became the very kind of man his mother would have admired most. Not rich, not famous, but deeply awake. So now let me ask you, have you been wishing for life to get easier? Or are you ready to become someone wiser? In the next part, we'll go deeper into what the Buddha really taught about suffering and the true meaning of awakening. But for now, just ask yourself, if everything was easy, would I still become who I was meant to be? We were never promised ease, not by life, not by Dharma, not even by the Buddha. In fact, the very first truth he taught was this: life is suffering. But most people misunderstand that. They hear suffering and think of punishment, injustice, unfairness. But the Buddha meant something deeper, that suffering is not a flaw in life. It is life, because we desire permanence in a world that constantly changes, because we seek control in a universe that flows without asking, because we crave comfort but growth only happens through friction. So when you pray for an easy life, what are you really saying? Are you saying, I want joy? Or are you secretly saying, I want no resistance? But here's the paradox. No resistance means no transformation. A lotus only blooms in the mud. A sword is only forged in fire. And the soul only awakens through tension. Ask yourself, would you be compassionate if you had never been hurt? Would you be wise if you had never failed? Would you even know what peace is if you had never lost it? The universe doesn't ask, what do you want? It asks, what are you willing to become? And becoming requires shedding. Shedding comfort, shedding illusion, shedding ego. That's why ease can be a trap. It lulls you, it numbs you, it convinces you that no pain equals happiness. But the absence of pain is not presence of peace. True peace comes when you stop resisting what is. The Buddha also taught, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. So what if suffering isn't just external? What if the real suffering is the war you wage within? The voice that says, I should be further. I should be happier. I should be more. That voice is the true oppressor. So what do? We return to breath, to silence, to acceptance. Not acceptance of abuse, not surrender to injustice, but a gentle bow to impermanence, a whispered understanding. This too is part of the path. Gabriel's life didn't suddenly become easy, but his relationship to pain changed. And that is the enlightenment the Buddha spoke of. Not escape, but awareness. Not avoidance, but awakening. So now, ask yourself, do you want a life without suffering, or a mind that's free within it? One is fantasy, the other is freedom. Here's something that may challenge you. What if karma doesn't punish, but teaches? If you believe karma is revenge, you'll live in fear. But if you see karma as a mirror, you'll start living in alignment. Every thought, every action, every moment of kindness or cruelty is planting a seed. And someday, you'll meet the fruit. Not because life is cruel, but because life is exact. So don't wish for easy. Wish for truth. Wish for vision. Wish for clarity. Wish for a heart so awake that even in darkness, you see the light. And if you want something to ask your soul tonight, don't ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is life asking me to become through this? In the final part of this video, we'll go deeper into your voice, your choice, your courage, because the world doesn't need more ease. It needs more awakened hearts. And maybe that starts with yours. If you've stayed with me this far, there's something inside you that refuses to settle for surface-level answers. You're not here for ease. You're here for meaning. You're not here to escape. You're here to evolve. And that is rare. Gabriel's story is not special because of pain. Pain is everywhere. It's special because of what he chose to do after. He didn't build a fortune. He didn't become famous. But he rebuilt himself from the inside out, not around what he lost, but around what he learned. And now, it's your turn, not to suffer, but to awaken, not to pretend you're fine, but to tell the truth, because truth is what sets you free. So I ask you, are you still waiting for life to get easier? Or are you ready to become stronger? Not hard, not bitter, but truly strong. The kind of strength that bends, but never breaks. If this story touched you, then don't let it end with silence. I want you to comment one of these below. 1. I release the wish for easy. If you're finally done chasing comfort and ready to choose growth. 2. I choose the enlightened path. If you're no longer asking life to be soft, but asking your soul to be deep. 3. My pain has a purpose. If you believe your wounds are becoming your wisdom. But don't just stop there. Let's stir the water. Let's speak honestly. Let's challenge each other. Let me ask you this. If karma teaches, not punishes, should we forgive those who hurt us once they've learned? Drop your answer and tell us why. Because someone, somewhere, is reading your words trying to decide whether they deserve redemption. Now here's another. Would you still live with compassion if kindness never got you ahead? If the world never clapped? If no one noticed? Would you still choose to be kind? Or are you only good when it's convenient? That's not a judgment. It's a mirror. And finally, what is one hard thing in your life right now that might actually be the doorway to your becoming? It could be heartbreak, loss, failure, silence. But what if that very thing is your invitation to awaken, not later, not when it gets better? Now I ask you to do something bold. Send this video to one person who's hurting, one person who feels like giving up, one person who might be mistaking their pain for punishment, because you might just be the light in their tunnel. And if you're creating content, teaching, healing, parenting, loving, remember this. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to stay awake, to feel, to face, to forgive. Even if the world doesn't reward it, even if you're doing it alone, especially when you're doing it alone. This is not the easy path, but it is the real one. The soul's path, the path of Dharma, the path where pain becomes purpose loss, becomes light and silence, becomes sanctuary. So don't wish for easy. Wish for awakening. Wish for the kind of strength that makes your past make sense. Wish for a heart that stays soft even after being shattered. And if no one else has told you this today, I see you. I believe in your journey. And I know you're not lost. You're becoming. Now breathe, comment, share. And the next time life feels heavy, don't ask for less weight. Ask for stronger wings.